What is up, guys? My name is Jason Whan, and in this video we're going to be talking about separating true friends from fake friends. So there's a saying that you can count the number of your true friends on one hand. And I found that statement to be true as I've talked to and encountered many people over the course of my lifetime. And I found out that many of the so-called friends that I had were in fact not my friends, and they were just acquaintances. And I naively called them my friends because, I hung out with them in high school or, university, and I had fun with them and had a good time with them. But, those relationships never progressed beyond, those temporary, fleeting, pleasurable states, pleasurable times. And, so the most difficult relationships to get over are those elusive friendships that do not stem from sound principles. So, these friendships aren't based on solid principles such as love, respect, integrity, trust, So these are the friendships that, they appear to be of value to you. These people that you hang out with, they appear to add value to your life, but in fact, do not offer anything of significance. And in fact, many of these relationships could even reduce the quality of your life. So let me share with you this relationship I had with this one person. I used to hang out with this person, and I've now cut ties with him. And he was fun to hang out with, but there was always something off about him. There was something cunning and guile about his intrinsic character that ultimately made him untrustworthy to me. He would say nice and pleasant things to my ear, but he'll talk poorly of other people who weren't present. And a lot of these people were people that he hung out with on a frequent basis, and they were his supposed friends, but he would talk poorly about these people, and that was a really big red flag. And I put up with it for a while, but we'll get to that later. And behind his smiles, his jokes, his banter, his, all those, those, you could say acts, I could sense that he was coming from a place of deception, and it just meant that our relationship was not based on trust. And so there's a quote by Ralph Waldo Emerson that I think is really great, and it's, "What you are shouts so loudly in my ear, I cannot hear what you say." So that is just a quote for you to think about. So this person's endless gossip basically, and smack talk about other people, made it quite uncomfortable for me to spend any further time with him. And I remember very distinctly one night when him and we encountered an old teammate of his who used to play on a sports team. And, when he was talking to him, he was his usual polite self. He was, very polite with him, just made the usual small talk. But after we left, he just told me, oh, that guy used to be really good. He used to be really good in our team, and he was always the starter, but he got cocky, and, he's cocky, and now he's not the way he used to be. He's not as good as he used to be. And that was a really big red flag, to me. And it was basically the start of me cutting ties with them. You see, a true friend will defend you. And even when you're not present, they will defend you. They're not going to talk smack about you behind your back, because if a person does that, they're not your friend. Right? So a true friend will not talk poorly about you to other people so that they feel better about themselves. A person who's a true friend will always want the best for you. They want you to grow. They want you to become a better version of yourself. And they're not someone who's jealous of you, who's envious of you, who wants to be better than you. And they do that by tearing you down and telling you why you're not going to be able to do this or do that. Or they, talk shit about you behind other people. Talk shit about you with other people. Right? That's not a true friend. So at the time, I didn't know any better. I was naive. I put up with his behavior, and deep down, I didn't believe that I could, have better people to hang out with, deep down, I was operating from a fearful state. And so what I did was I put up with this guy's unacceptable behavior. And what I've learned now is that you must not tolerate bullshit from anyone. Don't put up with other people's bullshit because it's not respectful to yourself. Because if you put up with other people's bullshit, like how I put up with that guy's bullshit, you're basically telling them that it's okay for them to act that way and treat people the way that they do. They're thinking, hey, even though I'm acting like a total jackass, you're still hanging out with me, and so I guess what I'm doing is alright after all. And basically you're telling them that it's okay to act that way. So you gotta walk away from people when they act out of line, and you gotta do it with your head held high, and you gotta remain detached. You gotta walk away. And that's how you state your boundaries, and that's how you stand up for yourself. And so the map that you use will determine where you end up. So that's a saying that basically I just came up with like this morning. But basically the map that I'm referring to here is your life map. So the way that we perceive the world. It's the way we think the world works, right? So, we're all operating from a map. But you see, how often do we question the map that we are using to base our life decisions upon? A lot of the times our life map was handed to us by our parents, our peers, the media, and other people we interact with. But how accurate is this map? Does it accurately reflect the landscape of the world that we live in and what we must do to live an effective, and fulfilling life with deep, meaningful relationships, right? So I encourage you to deeply reflect on the perspectives that you currently have about the world, your friendships, your relationships with your relationship with your family, your parents, how you view the dating world, how you view your career, yourself, how you think the world should be. Because you got to ask yourself, do your perspectives elevate you or do they limit you? Do they provide you value or do they not? We always act consistently with how we see. So changing the way we see things is the first step towards changing how we act and the consequences that we get from our actions. That being said, you can only build true friendships with people who have good character. Okay, so, but in other words, you simply can't make good wine from bad grapes. And you can't make a good meal from a turd. You can't build a sturdy house with, rotted wood, with bad materials, with timber that's been out in the rain all day. Okay, so you just can't do that. So basically, you gotta choose your peers wisely. You gotta be sharp with your observations and carefully select the people you spend time with. And I don't mean being, overly judgmental and critical to the point where you expect everyone to be perfect, because that's not gonna happen, right? People aren't perfect, But what I'm saying is you gotta pay attention to who people truly are as an individual, and you gotta make sure that they have good character, and their character is not fundamentally flawed, right? Young people especially just want to fit in and get along with everyone, and I can definitely relate to that sort of peer pressure and the expectations from other people, but you don't want to be the nail sticking out because it's going to get you hammered. But what's the downside risk of always hanging out with people to fit in? And if you hang out with the wrong people, with the wrong crowd, you're always going to continue to attract the same sort of people into your life. And it's literally just going to become a self-fulfilling prophecy. And it's just going to repeat, it's just going to be a cycle. So yeah, they say that you become the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And so yeah, we really gotta be very aware of and we got to be very aware of the people that we allow into our lives and the people that we allow into our inner circle, because these relationships that we have with these people are really gonna strongly influence the quality of our lives, and whether we're going to become the best versions of ourselves and whether we're going to reach our true potential. So yeah, you gotta choose your peers wisely. And so that's it for this video, and thank you guys for listening.